I wanted to pop on and give you some updates. I've always been good at updating with like life changes and just kind of what's going on with me. And I haven't done much of that in the last year and a half because there's been a lot going on. A lot of you all have seen some of it anyway. So I wanted to just kind of take this moment in this episode to kind of catch you up with where I am in life personally and business side. So remember, I don't have any kids. So this firm and the business, it is my child. And so that keeps me very busy. So my personal and business all flow together very, very much. So let's go.
Welcome to the Home Care Experience with T&A. In today's episode, Amy takes the mic solo while Troy is out, and she's using this time to share a personal and long overdue update. From major life changes to big shifts in her business, Amy opens up about everything that's been happening behind the scenes. Get ready for an honest and refreshing conversation. This is the Home Care Experience with T&A.
Hi, everybody. You got me today solo. I'm Amy Taylor. Troy Brooks is not with me today, but I wanted to pop on and give you some updates. I used to be really good, or I've always been good at updating with like life changes and just kind of what's going on with me. And I haven't done much of that in the last year and a half because there's been a lot going on. A lot of you all have seen some of it anyway. So I wanted to just kind of take this moment in this episode to kind of catch you up with where I am in life personally and business side. So remember, I don't have any kids. So this firm and the business, it is my child. And so that keeps me very busy. So my personal and business all flow together very, very much. So as a matter of fact, somebody was asking for my personal email address. So I give them my work email and they said, no, we need your personal one. I said, I don't have a personal email account. I just don't. So never have. But anyway, so let's go. I had to write down a list for myself because there's been so much that's happened in the last year and a half. So let's just kind of run through it. Part of it is going to explain also the name changes that I've been through over the years. So first of all, to catch you up, I did make an announcement at least to my clients, but I don't remember if I put it out to the TAC membership, the Texas Home Care and Hospice Association, but I did get divorced last April. And in the state of Texas, the CPA licensure rules are very, very strict. And the reason that the firm name was Knight Home Care Financial in the first place is because I got married back in 2016 and changed my name from Amy Taylor to Amy Knight. Not 100% my choice, but I understood it and I respected it. And so I did my name change. But then the CPA world, I like to call them the CPA gods, required you, like I changed my name, so I had to change the firm name. So we went to Knight. Well, in 2022, that was our 20th year anniversary. I'm getting the firm's 20th year anniversary and the year 2020 confused. So in 2022, we actually dropped the firm's CPA firm license. I'm still CPA, nothing else changed. And I dropped that license because nothing we do requires the firm to be licensed. We don't do audits. We don't do reviews. So I don't need the firm to be licensed. And by doing so, I could then be branded however I want to. So then we were able to go to Knight Home Care Financial. I wanted to keep the Knight because of brand recognition. And so we went to Knight Home Care Financial, which I couldn't be as a CPA firm. And I could never use the word specialize, which if you know me, that's what I do. I specialize in home health, hospice, home care, and nursing facilities, right? But I could never use that in any of our marketing or branding or even anything. I couldn't use the word. And trust me, I tried and I got a nasty gram from the CPA board. So I was like, okay, I guess they take that very seriously. So I'm following the rules like a good girl. So we updated the branding a few years ago. And so fast forward, I get divorced from Mr. Knight, and I immediately wanted to go back to Amy Taylor. We could do a personal episode on that, but that's not what we're here for today. So Amy Taylor is my identity. That was the name I wanted to get back to. So I filed for a legal name change. I didn't even wait for the divorce to be final. You can do your name change within the divorce documents, but that would have taken a lot longer. And I didn't trust that that process was going to go fast. And so I was like, I want my name changed back. So I did. And I got that changed back right away. But like I said, we no longer were a licensed CPA firm. So I did not have to change the firm back to Taylor. And, we had talked about it, but I said, man, listen, my clients and my audience, they're getting whiplash with all my name changes. And so we elected to just keep it branded as Night Home Care Financial, keep rocking and rolling. But I went back to Amy Taylor. So that's all cool, right? So that was last spring. I got my name change done in the summer. Divorce was finalized in September. We were very efficient at that and got it done. And again, no kids. So that makes things a lot easier. 3 dogs, but no kids. So then fast forward in the summer, I was on a mission to just reconnect with relationships friends, everybody that I just hadn't talked to in a long time because I hadn't been in a good place. And it was just easier to kind of not have friendships and relationships. So I wanted to reconnect with everybody because it's honestly, and not to get too personal, I hit 50 the December before, December of 23. And I cannot explain strongly enough how a flip switched in my brain and said, okay, we're on the downhill slide now and we have a lot less time left. I was putting things on my bucket list. And that's when the light bulb came on and said, I'm running out of time. If I'm going to do all of these things, I got to get them done. And just everything changed. And that's when I realized life is more about the relationships in life and not what you have, period. And not what status you're at. Doesn't matter. It's about the relationships. So I was on a mission to bring back some relationships that I had let go. I've never been good at staying in contact with people. And that's on me. That's nobody else. Nobody to blame for that. It's just me. And so I put a big emphasis into that. So I'm reconnecting. I'm reconnecting with high school friends. And I only had a couple friends from high school really that I felt like were, good friends. And so one of them was Michael. And Michael, back in the day, had introduced me to my high school boyfriend, Lester. And so through reconnecting with Michael, I got to see him. I was in Oklahoma. So they're all up in Oklahoma City. And I was in Oklahoma City and I got to go see Michael and I felt like total shit. I had allergies real bad going from Texas to Oklahoma. It always flared them up. But I was like, I'm not going to miss my chance to get to see him. And when I went to reconnect, I found out his wife had just passed of cancer that she'd fought for a few years. I didn't get to know her. And so it was just a weird time. And so anyways, I go see him and I'm talking to him and we're in his kitchen and it's kind of getting late. I think 8:30 something. And I said, man, I would do anything to get to see Lester Dell's parents because I loved them, right? He goes, oh, well, they're just right down the road. Do you want to go? I'm like, yeah. Are you sure? So we go down. I'm in tears. I get to see them. I forget how much they laugh, these deep belly laughs. I love it. So just good people. So anyways, I get to reconnect with them. Fast forward, I'm talking to Michael. I'm like, I really want to talk to Lester Dell. So his dad's name is Lester. He's Lester to everybody except for family and like old high school friends. So he's Lester Dell to me. So anyways, Michael's like, you just got to reach out to him. I said, okay. So I sent him a Facebook Messenger, Facebook friend request. So we hadn't talked in 30 something years at all. Like no Facebook, no following each other, nothing. And so I reconnect with him and then the rest is history. So we reconnected October 1st. We saw each other November 10th. I was going to the TAC Administrators Training Conference. He lived over in Houston. And so I got to go see him on that Sunday before the conference. And then I probably spent 8 hours over there. We just talked and we caught up and everything. And he had been married 24 years. His wife had passed away in 2020, and he had 2 kids. They're grown, a couple of grandkids. Talked through all that, and then I went home for Thanksgiving, and we have been talking. Our chats were long. Our text messages were long. Lots and lots of talking and catching up. As a matter of fact, even last night, I wanted to look back at our messages from this day last year. And so right now it's the week of Thanksgiving. It's Tuesday, the week of Thanksgiving. So I went to look back, and I'm scrolling in my phone, right, to get to the top of the text messages. And I didn't even get close. So I said, well, we're never going to do that. So I don't know what it was, but we have lots and lots of communication. So anyways, I go home for Thanksgiving, which I was not planning on doing because I had just been in Oklahoma City 2 weeks prior for an accounting conference. So anyways, I went and spent the day with his family. We went to Michael's families. He came over to my family. We did the whole thing together. And then after that, we've been inseparable since. We just connected like we'd never connected before. I don't even want to say that, but we were kids. I was 16 to 19. He was 3 years older, so 19 to 21. It was my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college. And my senior year of high school, my mom had a baby. So I've got a little sister that's 2 years younger than me. I'm the oldest. We grew up together, very normal siblings, 2 girls, fought like everybody else, but still very close. Didn't fight like nasty fighting. Then my mom had another baby. Same dad. Yes, she's crazy. A little side note on that. She was 36 when she had this baby because she was real young. She was 18 when she had me. And so I remember I was 17 when she told us she was pregnant. And I remember thinking that was so gross. I was like, oh my God, you're so old. And now I'm like, oh my God, how did I ever think 36 was old? But anyways, that's what we do when we're kids. So I was ready to get out of the house. So when I graduated, I was 18. My birthday's in December. So in May, I was 18. The next day I was moved out, and me and Lester had an apartment. So we lived together for the first year of my college life. When I went to OU. We lived in South Oklahoma City, and I commuted to Norman. So anyway, so that's a big update there. I went off. So we met in October, November, or reconnected, inseparable since Thanksgiving. We were doing trips, like weekend trips and getaways and vacations, like trying to one up each other for the first 3 or 4 months. And it was exhausting, and we've still been running nonstop. And so I'm only to the second out of about 8 bullet points to get through. So we got married in March. We almost got married in January. As of December, we knew that's what we wanted to do, even though both of us swore we would never get married. But I had to talk to my attorneys after the last go around and get some paperwork done. And so we got that all done, and we got married in Fredericksburg in March. And I had rented a nice new home, like a new construction home in Fredericksburg. If you know it, it's 2 hours west of Austin. It's it's the Texas Hill Country. And it just happened to be a nice big house because honestly, I was looking for something nice that would do good photos, right? Good background for photos. But the idea was it was just going to be him and I. And then I had a friend that was going to marry us. Well, his friends caught wind of that. He was still really tight friends with his friends that he was friends with in high school that I knew. And they caught wind, and they got very, very upset because he couldn't keep his damn mouth shut. So any of you listening, if you're going to elope, don't tell anybody because it blows it all up. So he told too many people. His friends had a holy conniption fit. You cannot get married and us not be there. And so we're all hanging out. We were literally, it was in January in Houston, moving Lester out of his house over to Austin. And we had the pool heated up to 99 degrees, like a big giant hot tub. and we were all swimming instead of moving. And so it was almost like an intervention. So I said, well, you know what? The house is 5 bedrooms. That's what we needed. And we ended up, the guy that married us was one of the longtime friends, and he was the one that was the go-between between me and Lester. That was my only connection, and I would get updates. That's how I learned, some more details about Lester's wife dying, and just intermittent every 5-6 years we've touched base kind of thing. And I would always ask about Lester. So that's who married us. So it turned out great. It was fun. But then I'm like, you mean I gotta buy a dress and stuff? I don't even like the dress I bought. But anyways, it's already gone to Goodwill. So we got married. I did not change my name. I do feel a little left out because I would love to be a Dalrymple, but the business, I'm just not going to do it. And he's good with it. So he doesn't care what my last name is. And maybe after I fully retire and I'm not working, I might change it then. We'll see. Name changes are real hard to go through, though. I will tell you that. I'm still dealing with it. I got an investment over here that just can't get it right. And it's been legally changed for over a year now. So got married right after that, kind of about the same time. We got married in March. I sold my office condo. So I owned a condo in an office complex in Austin. And at that time, everybody had gone remote. The firm was all remote. And it was literally me and Michelle in the office for, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in a 2,000 square foot office. But in my mind, I wasn't using my very good CPA advisor mind. In my mind, I'm like, well, there's no mortgage. It was paid off, right? And I just wasn't even thinking about selling it. Then a neighbor sold theirs and I saw what they sold for. And I said, well, wait a minute. I might be interested in this. And so I put down on paper, what does it cost me to maintain this? And it was a whole lot more than I realized. Insurance, electric, internet, shredding, just all the things that go with it. So I went ahead, put it on the market, and it was kind of fun. One of my clients had just moved in 2 doors down in the same complex, and their son is a commercial realtor. Well, he's a realtor, and so he listed it for me. It worked out great. So we got a good deal, sold the office building, took that and did do a good CPA advisory thing and did what's called a 1031 exchange, which means I took the money out of my office condo and bought a condo in Florida. So it's a like kind exchange for a rental property. So now the difference is the Florida property is a residential rental property. So for short-term vacation rental, right? So I bought a condo in Florida, or we did. Lester took the money out of the sale of his house, put it in with mine. And we now jointly, even though we're married and everything's shared, we bought this condo in Florida. So if you notice, my background is different from before. It does suck because I'd really dialed in that room specifically for podcasting. And I did that beautiful backdrop wall. But I will say the lighting in here is way, way better. And what you guys can't see is my view. But I'm going to take this camera, Josh. Josh is my producer. Meant to ask if I could do this. I have a second camera. I don't know what it looks like, but it looks all right. So maybe we can splice that in. Now let me see if I can get this set back up in the right spot. All right. Good enough, I think. So we bought this condo in Florida. The plan was to rent it, do short-term rentals for a couple years, and then move down here full time. Well, Michelle sets me down. She's my right hand. If you don't know Michelle, Michelle's my right hand at the office. She's young. She's almost my adopted daughter. We travel together a lot for conferences and whatever. Everybody always thinks that she's my daughter. So we just go with it. I mean, she's got a round face, more olive complexion, and blonde hair, but sure, we look just alike. I don't know what people are thinking, but whatever. And she's short and we look nothing alike, but I'll take her any day. So anyways, Michelle sets me down. She got married last year. They were ready to buy a house. It's just too freaking expensive in Austin. And so she sat me down. She said, I need to tell you something. Of course, my first reaction was, I said, are you pregnant? She said, no. I said, okay, good. I said, then you can tell me anything. So she said, we want to move to South Carolina. And that was always their long-term plan. He's from Clemson, diehard Clemson. He's been very, very sad and very cranky this year, this season. If you follow college football at all, you will know why. So they want to move to South Carolina. It's far more affordable there, Spartanburg area. And I said, oh, well, that's awesome. Like, I'm encouraging her. I want her to buy a home, right? So I'm like, well, if you're moving, then why am I staying here? I don't have any family in Austin. My brother goes back and forth. He's in Austin and Oklahoma City. He's back and forth all the time. But other than that, nobody lives there. And so Lester and I sat down and talked about it and said, well, let's just move now. So we made that decision and we moved here full time in the middle of October. So it's been just over a month. So we're still getting settled in and all that good stuff. We got curtains hung yesterday or the day before. And so we're still getting settled in. The dream for me, my big dreams were always, and I mean from college age, were work really hard and retire really early and live at the beach. That was it. I wanted to retire at 50. Well, I didn't hit that goal. I have things I can blame it on, but that's not what I'm here to dog anybody or anything. And so that did not pan out, but living at the beach is working for me. And I did work really hard, and I have worked really hard. I've made a lot of sacrifices. Actually, one of my friends in Austin, from when we lived out at Lake Travis, the doggy daycare out there, Chris, she owns and runs that doggy daycare. She does an amazing job. She just had her first grandbaby, was just born. And it took her a few days to be able to get up there and see the grandbaby because she's running a business that, demands her attention. And, she didn't have staff that could cover for her or whatever the circumstances were. And I made the comment to her. I said, some people will never understand what small business owners sacrifice in order to have that business. Our deadline in my world is always April 30th for Medicaid reporting, May 31st for Medicare. And I've missed all the graduations. I've missed weddings. I've missed, those deadlines, they don't wait. And your clients, while they have empathy and they love you and they want the best for you, they can't let their work go because I have personal things to do, right? So anyways, I did work really hard. I'm not retiring anytime soon. I'm not ready to, but I can live at the beach and work here now that, think about it, in high school and college, the world wasn't what it is now. We weren't able to work so remotely wherever we wanted to work. So that just moved up first on the list, and I'll retire later. My goal, which we're going to circle back around to, is 5 to 10 years is my goal on retirement. So moved to Florida full time. And then the last update, which went out in the TAC newsletter, and I haven't posted on the TAC forums, and it's gone out to clients, is that we have merged our firm. I've merged my firm with one of my buddies, Matt Patrick Accounting and Tax Services. And they also own Works, WHIRKS, which is a payroll and human capital management company. So payroll and HR. And so Matt Patrick, I met probably back in 2011 through accounting networking groups. And I was like, I like this guy. I don't like that he's 6 months younger than me, but I like this guy because I was in those groups. I was always the youngest. I'm not anymore. There's a lot of young blood that's come into our accounting group. And, but anyways, I liked him. He's just fun. We had similar personalities. He is actually what got me shopping here. So I'm in Florida. I'm in Destin. I'm on the Emerald Coast. He lives in Memphis, and this was where he would come and vacation. And he has a couple vacation homes, rental properties down here, short-term rentals. He's the one that opened my eyes to it and said, well, you should look at investing down in the Destin 30A area. It's great rental income, yada, yada. So that's why I ended up here. I was thinking more of like the islands. Like, honestly, I kind of wanted to get away from, and I didn't do any research, but I wanted to go somewhere to an island where it was still like cheap to buy stuff and live. And like Roatan was always on my list. But I will say COVID changed my mind on that. I worry about medical systems in not being in the US. So that's when I changed my mind and said, okay, let's look at the US coastline. And so while not in the islands, I'm still at the beach. And if you haven't been to Destin, I will tell you the photos do not lie. They don't lie. It is as pretty as they make it out to be. And it's not AI generated. So, it's beautiful. Anyways, especially right now, it's November. It's been hot and muggy this week. It's been highs of like 78 and muggy, which 78 at the beach in the sun is hot. But the weeks prior it had been, 70, 75, but a drier air. So it's just beautiful, beautiful. The condo we have, it's a big, they call it a family living floor plan. So it's not like a long shotgun kind of condo, but it's really cool because the front side where I am faces the Gulf and has a beautiful view, but it's sunny. But then, and I've got a patio out there. It's not huge. But on the back side where the living room and everything is and the master, it's over the harbor and it's shaded and it's cooler, but it's still beautiful and you're over the harbor. So you almost have both. You have two different climates almost. It's kind of cool. I like it. So, and also depending on where the wind's coming from, you got a patio. You can go and get out of the wind if it's breezy. It can get pretty breezy at the coast. Anyways, back to merging my firm. So back on that because that's kind of big news. So with every business, you get to a point where you can grow it as much as you can grow it. And then a lot of people come to the point of like, I've gone as far as I can. I need help. I need bigger help to get over that next hurdle. A lot of people can do it on their own. Matt Patrick did it on his own. Me, for one, I found the right people much later in my business. By that, I mean, I started the firm in 2002. The first almost 10 years, I was growing like crazy and just making every mistake in the book, just trying to figure it out. So the first 10 years, I made a bunch of mistakes. The next 10 years, I tried to clean up those mistakes and right the ship and get it like really dialed in. And then the last 10 years, I was like, I just want to coast. And that's where I'm at now. So in my world, we have these home care worlds. And then by worlds, I mean, your network, your associations. We're involved in a few associations. I mention TAC all the time. TAC is the Texas Association for Home Care and Hospice. Because I'm really kind of a Texas girl, I am very heavily involved in that association. I also work with the Texas New Mexico Hospice Organization, and then we've joined some other associations in the South and Southeast. So we have that network, right? Well, on my accounting side, I have the same kind of network. So I'm in a group called PASBA, Professional Association of Small Business Accountants, I think is what it stands for. And it's just where a bunch of accountants get together. We all try to model our firms the same. This association goes back to the 60s and 70s, and they've got a model of this recurring bookkeeping model, right? Where you're keeping your books up to date every month, and therefore we could do better tax planning, tax strategies, do your tax return at the end of the year. You're just getting a lot better service. Well, this is not new. Like I said, it went back to like the 70s and 80s, 60s and 70s actually. And anyways, it is, while when I first was looking at it, that association looked real archaic and very paper-based. And, I thought I was all cool because I was paperless and I was way ahead of them. But their foundational philosophy is timeless. So I didn't join, well, there's another group, I'm not trying to get too detailed, that I had joined and I was with them 7 or 8 years, did a lot. So the things I did in that second 10 years, I created our core values, our vision statement. I put some direction. I put a lot of intention into the firm. Like, who do we want to serve? Who are our ideal clients? What does it look like to get our services? What, all those things. And just really do some long range planning and back it down to what are we going to get done this month? So that's what I mean about that second 10 years. Well, we're now at 22 years, 23 years. This was 23 years this year. And I've modeled my firm after Matt Patrick. I've said some things I've just done just because Matt does it, right? What would Matt do kind of thing. And so all of my software that I use, I do almost everything the same. It was always a vision of mine to merge to join his firm in some way. I had said, if I ever sell my firm, I'm going to go work for Matt Patrick. Well, then the opportunity and discussion started happening. What if we merged our firms together? What if you guys acquired us and we become your home care division? And that's what we created. So their payroll company. So Matt owns Patrick Accounting and he owns Works. They are sister companies. Works has also been a TAC member for a while now. They've gotten a good foothold in the home care space, home care, skilled, unskilled, and hospice. And they do all my nursing homes as well. And so they're getting niched in with that. They do all kinds of payroll. I don't want to limit them. But they do the firm's payroll. So then I can speak firsthand on services. And they also are who we refer. Half of our clients are using their payroll. So when anybody's unhappy with payroll, that's who we refer them to. They're very scalable. They can go from one man payroll to 1,000-man payroll. Very scalable, multiple locations, multiple departments, all the things. They do benefits administration. They have a benefits broker. They do all of mine. I no longer touch payroll. I no longer touch benefits. I no longer touch 401k. 401k, we tie that in with human interest. So we do with that. So it was just a very, very natural fit. We talked about it a few years ago. The timing was not right. And the timing was right this year. All the stars aligned and we said, let's do it. So what does that mean for me? What that means for me is I have a much bigger team of staff. So their accounting firm, they're 4 times the size of my firm. They've got the people piece figured out. I have the processes figured out. They've got the people figured out. They've gotten Employer of the Year or Best Places to Work, like 3 out of the last 10 years in the Memphis area. They have a pretty constant funnel of talent coming. Like, people want to work for them, right? They don't have to use recruiters, which makes me so jealous. And then they have that like middle management layer that I don't have. I've got leadership and I've got staff. And that's just really where I struggled the most, is just having somebody take the vision and distribute it out to the team. They've got that figured out. So what this means for me is I'm no longer going to be in charge of running the firm, looking at like, what software do we use for this? How do we deploy AI in everything? We have to be using it. Matt is super techie. I think he's already developed 4 apps to be used internally in his firm and maybe externally. I'm not even sure. I know he's just geeking out about it though. And so I no longer have to manage people. I don't have to manage the firm. I don't have to manage operations. So they're going to come in and I trust them. They do high quality work. They're going to handle the delivery of client services. I'm going to handle leaning hard into the industry. I've already been there, but there's more I could do. And that's where I'm the hardest on myself, is I always think I could have done it better. I could do more. I could do more. I could do more. I've been trying to learn some grace and give myself some grace and not push so hard, but I'm Gen X, man. I just don't know any other way to be. So I'm going to be at more conferences, more trade shows, more speaking engagements, get more involved with more associations. I even want to lean into the lobbying efforts that Texas does. If you don't know it, and if you're in a state other than Texas, please don't take this as a big ego. I don't mean it this way. But a lot of the country associations follow Texas, even the National Alliance. And they don't really follow Texas, but in my opinion, and several others, Texas leads the way. The Alliance, the Home Care and Hospice Alliance, which is the old NAC and the old hospice, the big hospice organization, merged. And there's a lot of drama. Last I heard, there's drama going on there. They just don't have it all figured out yet. So I lean hard into Texas because I've found anytime I go to national, it's very, very expensive. It's very cliquish. And the education, I'm getting all of that out of Texas. So why do I need to go to national? So Texas is a great place for lobbying efforts. And so I think that'll be time well spent. So I want to do more of that. So I'm not going anywhere. My goals are, I need about 18 months to fully transition cost reporting down to the team. They're already doing Medicare. Medicaid is changing this year. I shouldn't say drastically because we don't know yet how drastic the changes are, but it's coming out. So I'll work the next 2 busy seasons to train them on Medicaid, get that fully handed off. Then I want to my goal is to work for 5 years. And in that 5 year, at minimum 5 years, in that 5 years, I want to develop my predecessor. Is that right? My successor, the one coming after me. I want to develop them because when I do want to retire, I want there to be another voice for the providers, for the people in the field, because I feel like that's what my voice is. My voice is always for the providers. And so I want to leave somebody in that role, somebody that's going to the conferences, that's just almost an interchangeable, to where when people say, Amy's retiring, that is awesome. Our go-to is now Michelle or whoever it's going to be. So that's my goal. Then at 5 years, if we're rocking and rolling and having fun, I'm going to keep going, because you know what? Amy Taylor likes to spend money. I like nice vacations. I like nice hotels, those things. And so I'm not setting on generational wealth. I didn't have family that left me anything. I'm just fine. I'm not financially ready to retire now. That's why I need 5 years. And then 10 would just be even extra. But I did say, at 10 years, somebody's got to make me stop. Somebody please step up and say, set your ass down and relax. And then I want to go and just volunteer, do something really light and easy. So that is me. Those are my updates. I wanted to put the Lester piece in there because so many people that I've talked to are just fascinated at that story of these, high school sweethearts reconnecting and all the things. And it's kind of funny, and don't judge me, but I always let me say it this way. Women, I'm sure it applies to men, but I think women have a very strong intuition, that gut, that little voice in our head, not the negative one. Throw that bitch out. But there was always this little, just like I always knew from a young age, like I always knew I had to go to college. I don't know why. I just did. And then one day I came home from high school and I told Dad, I said, Dad, I got it all figured out. I'm going to go to Votech, because Votech had just been at the school that day. I said, I'm going to be a CAD drafter, computerized computer aided drafting, right? So architect on the, he goes, the hell you are, you're going to college. Oh, okay. So I was told what to do. So I did. Anyways, but like I always had this knowing that I would have a nice house. I would drive a nice car. I just always knew that. Right. And then, so I wouldn't say this was as strong, but I always had this little thought in the back of my head. I always wanted to reconnect with Lester. His family is just gold. I had written him a letter. We think it was in '09 to just thank them for what they instilled in me back when I was in high school. Taught me how to live on a budget, how to live paycheck to paycheck and make groceries last. And like because we grew up in the country and we were poor. We had more money than a lot of the people around us even. But like at Lester's house, we didn't cook inside the house. We didn't run the oven in the summer. It got too hot. Everything was grilled. Like just things like that. They were just such good people. And so I wanted to reconnect with him because I just did. I always wanted to, right? But I knew he was married and she was a jealous person. So that wasn't going to go over well. Then I married a jealous person. That certainly didn't go over well. But I always just had this voice in the back of my head that someday we would reconnect. And I always had I call it a fantasy that we would get back together. And if he's in, he starts saying I was a stalker. I said, I did not stalk anybody, so stop it. So he is here. I couldn't get him to come on the podcast, but we'll throw up some pictures. We've been doing a lot. If you ever want, just go find me on Facebook, Amy Taylor. You'll see us. I try to post all the fun stuff we do. I'm not on there all the time, but I do try to keep it's a good way to keep in touch with everybody. So anyways, that's just kind of my full circle. And I'm an open canvas. I'm an open book. And I just wanted to share with everybody because a lot of people are like, no, you need to share. You need to put this out there. So what I'm not sure of is why I'm so red. I am hot and I think I'm having a hot flash on top of it. But yeah. This is me, all of me. So Troy's at home. We just wanted to record some more content, get it in the bank. But this is it. He's not going anywhere. I should have started with that. But this one was all just about me and my life updates. So we thought we would just bang it out without Troy being here. And I'll catch up with him later and we'll have him back on and we'll be back at it doing more good things for you guys. So talk to you later, guys. Thanks. Thanks so much for joining us on the Home Care Experience with TNA. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and found it insightful. You can find more episodes of the Home Care Experience wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. We'd love it if you could share this podcast with your network and/or leave us a review. It really helps us reach more people who are passionate about home care and hospice. Visit thehomecareexperience.com for links and resources in the show notes. Until next time, take care and keep making a difference in the lives of those you serve.